I'm pulling back the glam to explain the emotional, spiritual, and strategic chaos of becoming someone new in front of an audience. And if you've ever felt caught between who you were and who you're becoming, this one's for you. As a former adult star turned, podcast, social media, loudmouth, smart mouth, and more, ladies and gentlemen, I see you. This one's for those who are just tired of the shallow, the loud, the fake. You're here because you want something real. I'm sure if you're aware, my aesthetic is not exactly for everyone. I always like to say I am well aware that I am not everyone's cup of coffee, but I'm someone's shot of espresso, hopefully, maybe. Blonde, big boobs, fake lips, as some like to refer to me as the quintessential Barbie bimbo. I've heard it a million times throughout my entire career. And now for someone who used to love playing with Barbie, this to me will never not be a compliment. Which of course leads to the ever subtle eye roll that many of you have when I refer to myself as real. And if life has taught me anything, it is to not only not judge a book by its cover, by its shiny cover, but that instead of complaining about the stigma women in my industry and the like go through, let's do something about it. So here we are. In past episodes, I went into great detail about how I started the adult industry, my naive thoughts behind it, and the creation of the character that allowed me my own place in an industry faker than your last girlfriend's orgasm. Trust me. Yet the actors, actresses, directors, PAs, my agent, makeup artist were some of the most solid, nicest human beings I could have ever imagined to have been surrounded by. I swear, if it wasn't for the culture within the industry, now I'm talking about the top 5%, okay? Not the average Mary Jane grabbing a camera, I wouldn't have made it past a day. It made going on set something I looked forward to because the actual act, online sex, was 25, 30 minutes. Those 25, 30 minutes that you watch when you fast forward through my favorite part, which is the beginning, the script. And I know that most of the demographic always want to forward that. They're like, don't waste my time, just get me to it. But everything else, the storytelling, the makeup, the storytelling in the makeup chair, the lunchtime with the crew, as we discussed how everyone's doing, the looking at someone's baby pics, they truly felt like we were amongst family. I think that's why I fight so hard to try and point the honest picture of my own personal experiences during my career, because for me, I want to give it the respect it deserves. Moral clauses aside, the respect it deserves from me. But then, when I felt disrespected for the first time within my industry, and I felt such a huge betrayal and overall sadness, it was then I realized that not only had I been performing for so many years, but so was the very industry that I was protecting so much. COVID truly changed the entire game. Within the walls of the industry, I noticed a cultural shift. Performers had to push the limits to remain relevant. More people found it easier to work from home online than waste gas money, time, going on set. And trust when I say that sitting in 2-hour traffic when you only live 8 miles from set in Los Angeles was a pain in the ass each and every single time. But I did it, happily. And other things of which I have already tackled in early episodes. And then came the final nail in the coffin for me, an award show, January 2025. To some, what I heard might have not been a big deal, but to me, because someone as loyal as I've been to the industry because of its very people, I realized that not only was I performing this entire time, but dare I say the entire industry was too, or at least that part of the industry. And it just got my mind racing and racing. I won't get into it at the moment, but this was when I realized that speaking my truth meant more to me than being a dancing sexy monkey for select corporations. I hit that breakdown that began that internal audit I had to do for myself in order to continue moving forward as an entertainer. I realized that I know I'm not the only one feeling like this, and there will be others who will have this sense of, oh shit, now what? So if you're tuning in, you value strength, clarity, inner confidence, that voice inside your head, that little voice that realizes once you hit a certain point, and that's different for everyone, the courage to move ahead and draw your own life is inside you. Because what good is working, living day to day in the grind when your voice is being suppressed, right? That's exactly what I'm weaving into my brand now. Not performing for anyone but me. So why does this matter? I feel it's so important to be authentic. It's exactly what I look for when I consume others' content, entertainment, etc. There's a reason why I no longer appreciate super woke Hollywood. There's a reason I refuse to watch the newer Disney remakes. Just let me have, old Cinderella. Let me have Snow White the way she was. Why remake it and with this agenda? Because there's always an agenda. In almost every form of entertainment that we consume, there's always an agenda. There's always an asterisk, always just something extra. And it's exhausting. Honestly, it's exhausting for me as a consumer and now as a creator. And as my journey drives forward, the layers had to be shed, but at my own time and not anyone else's. I've had to relearn literally who I am, and the journey of creating just can't be fulfilled without this honesty. Because with baggage like mine, there's just no way that I could even move forward. And that's why this matters to me to put this out there for you. Whatever brought you here, that's why it matters to me. As much as it matters to me, we're going to put a little pause. We're going to put a little pin on that because right now I am going to debut this new section that you're going to be hearing every week. I'm calling it Dear Bridgette. So this is something I've been secretly dreaming about for a while. You know how some people grow up watching to be astronauts or surgeons, ballerinas? Yeah, well, I wanted to be Delilah. Yep. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you've ever walked into your mom's kitchen back in the day and she was listening to the radio and you heard Delilah. I loved it. And if you don't know who that is, it's probably because you had a very loving, stable home life and you weren't awake at 11:30 p.m. crying in a wet towel, listening to other people's breakups on AM radio. I mean, not that I know from experience at all from anyone I know. Of course not. Delilah was like your mom's therapist and your ex's worst nightmare. Because after every mini therapy session, the music went straight to like Phil Collins or Enya, some shit like that. It was literally iconic. And then there was Dear Abby. Dear Abby was the OG New York Post columnist. She gave these punchy, like no bullshit responses to readers' questions with like a cigarette in one hand and a divorce lawyer on speed dial. And I ate that shit up. I loved I loved the New York Post for that. If I had my way of get around it, if my teacher had it, I would read up on it. I loved it. So I thought, what if I took those two energies, right? Delilah's softness, of which I'm trying to embody in my new era, and, Miss Abby's side eye that I'm always going to have no matter what, and just filter it through my own hot mess. Introducing Dear Bridgette, where your questions are going to meet my brutally honest advice, because that's what we're here for, right, ladies and gentlemen? Dear Bridgette, I've been dating my boyfriend for 6 months and recently found out he's been watching his ex's TikToks and liking every single one of her thirst traps. He says it's no big deal. Am I being insecure, or is this emotional cheating? P.S. I did look through his following list, while pretending to watch the new episode of Quarterback on Netflix. So maybe I'm not innocent either. Let me know. Okay, well, first of all, I love when girls step in and, kind of ask their questions and don't look at me like their arch nemesis and, girl, I hate you. You're the reason why my man watch porn. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all the female support. So that's probably why my producer said, this is going to be the first question we give you, which is awesome. Done. And second of all, girl, you are not insecure and you have every right to investigate. Watching your man like another woman's TikTok in 2025 hurts. It hurts a lot. And for the men that listen to the show, here's an inside look. It hurts. We are well aware that men have animalistic behavioral tendencies, and some might say that due to the modern day suppression of such animal-like tendencies, us as women have instilled unnatural expectations on our male partners. Don't look, don't stare, don't talk. Why are you liking this? Why this? But fuck it. Women, we're crazy. We're crazy only when we like the guy. I'll be honest, dudes, the average girl can probably get over anything when she doesn't like the guy. She'll get the ick. You know what I mean? We pray for the ick so that we don't like you guys too much, but that's another topic. And at the beginning of a dating story, at the beginning of a dating relationship, these dates, the ones where the minutes turn to hours and you just learn everything about the other person, is where I feel men, being the more logical rather than emotional being, will take mental note. And if he's a dick, will use it to his advantage. But if he listens and truly cares about the girl sitting in front of him, he will listen to the stories, pay attention to the things she doesn't like, because he's the hunter and he's chasing her. And by liking ex's TikToks in modern times, that's considered digital chasing. It's convenient. It's adequately distanced to where a guy truly can just be liking the pics, not thinking it's a big deal, much like if he sees a hot girl walking and turns and looks. But the only reason it upsets you, my dear listener, is because you looked. Had you not looked, would you have known? It's a catch-22, right, my girls? My mom always used to tell me, if you don't want to know, don't look. Let's just say we all have our boundaries. If yours is lack of self-control from a man, like not liking a girl's pic is easy to do, much like not flipping your neck to see a hot girl walk by while you're holding your girl's hand is easy to do. It's self-control. It's so easy to do when you respect and like the girl. It's what separates the animal-like tendencies to the in control masculine that women like me tend to find very attractive. A man's self-control in out of control situations is what makes us women trust in him, because he demonstrates leadership, which in turn, if you hadn't noticed, him liking his ex's TikToks, I can bet $1 million you wouldn't have gone through his follow list, which leads me to think, due to how that app works, his follow list is on private. Oh boy. And that's just a whole nother set of fucking issues. Why is his follow list private? I know for me, it's because of work, brand deals, etc. Having that follow list is gold because people look at who you follow. So, girl, what's your boundary? You can't expect a man to be what you want if you don't have your own self-control. Because I can guarantee if his boundary is that he doesn't like his girl going through his phone, you will get disposed of. Finding out each other's firm boundaries from early on can lead to eliminating so much heartache. Because I can guarantee the man being the logical one, usually through experience, as soon as we fuck up that first boundary, they're done with us. Because a man wants and values respect. And if we go past that boundary that he has set for himself, that means he doesn't have self-respect for himself. So when the guy doesn't have self-respect for himself, what good is he to us? He can't lead us. He doesn't even like himself, which then we don't find attractive. And then we behave as such, and then things become toxic, and then you have to break up. Most of us are not innocent. We're crazy. We're crazy when we like the guy. It's just part of our DNA and it's just part of our nature. The moment I stop caring what you do, who you're with, what you're following, what you're liking, is the moment I'm not interested. Trust. And I think guys are catching on to that. So with that being said, sweetheart, if this answer gets to you in the digital universe, A, thank you for your question. B, I wish you the best of luck. And I really would love to know what happened. So, DM me on Instagram at BridgetteUnfiltered. Welcome back. We left off with me expressing and telling you that in order for me to continue as an entertainer, I needed to relearn who I was. I needed to be honest with who I was and with what I'm going through as I bridge this gap, because there's a lot of layers. And I've been asking myself, how many layers do I fucking have? Because it's exhausting. It's so much, but it's also so freeing. Mind you, my background is not the norm. The average person doesn't have to be concerned that at any point you could be having an innocent dinner and the table next to you can just go to Google and see your tits. Anytime, anywhere. That sense of privacy feels long gone if you know, you know. I'm not saying everyone knows what I do. I'd hope that if someone were to meet me in the middle of the street or at the grocery store, I'm not exactly blatant and screaming, ex-porn star, but who knows? Again, going back to the beginning, my aesthetic, it draws certain conclusions, and I get it. I'm very much privy to it. Because what am I going to do? Am I going to hide under a bed for the rest of my life? Am I going to be concerned about what the table next to me at dinner is going to think if they see something for the rest of my life? No way. We can't live our lives like that. But there's no rule book. There's no playbook because we build as we go. And for a minute, after I realized that the next chapter of my career was just evolving because the internet will never go away and the internet will never let me live it down, I just picked myself up and took accountability and ownership. Whenever I had to make tough decisions, I tended to self-isolate. I'm notorious for staying silent and away as long as it takes until I know I'm ready for that decision to be made. Oh, I remember making this exact statement on a podcast, and the lady interviewing me said, "Oh, that must be nice. I got kids and a husband. I can't hide anywhere." So trust me, I know it's a luxury and I'm grateful for it, but Hiding while I worked on a decision that had to be made, whatever that looked like, worked for me until recently, until about, the last, I guess, 16 months or plus. These life decisions that I had to make, that part of my brain that has to think about what's 5 steps ahead of me instead of just what's in front of me, is what's had me making the decision to not be afraid of what's next. That after being one of the more downloaded porn stars, not to toot my own horn, toot, but whatever, it'll be okay. I didn't have to isolate as I had before, which is where I am now. Revibing in real time, learning what hasn't worked for me previously, and just flipping it on its head and doing it differently. However, there is this messy middle. Old friends become strangers, new friends become new family. Men I would find attractive during those chaotic times now just seem exhausting. The average modern girl does have somewhat of a past by the time you get to her, unless you go to a monastery and get yourself a nun. Because if I have to come across one more talking head, Andrew Tate like personality, putting down this generation of women who have had to embody such survival skills because the average male isn't providing the safety, the leadership, the trust that she needs to thrive, say in a growing relationship, like our dear Bridgette question from this episode, your girl will feel the need to look through your follow list, to look through your phone. She will feel she needs to question why her boundary is being crossed. And yet, being the loving, emotional beings we are, will still stay in the fucking relationship, even though we know it's a wrap. That award show in 2025 was my boundary. I wasn't expecting to make a decision that fast. I thought it was going to be this drawn out event. I expected to do what I always do, go away, hide, get off social media, stay silent and isolate. But instead, I got louder. I went back to my hotel room, took off the gorgeous leopard print cowboy outfit. It was chef's kiss. By far one of my most favorite looks of all the red carpets I've done. I took a bath and I sat. I sat until the sun rose over the Las Vegas Strip. And that was that. There was no plan, no idea. And for me, that was my rebrand. I mean, I could have stayed and smiled and continued to give energy and press and marketing to the company that didn't value me at all as an integral part of modern day adult industry, because they showed me what they thought of me because of what they did at the award show in January. I didn't matter to them. They were nice to me, of course. I mean, they're not animals. We're not animals. We're adults. But when I heard from very credible source as to what was said about me behind closed doors, I realized that they were only being nice to me as another performer, as another performance. And that was my boundary. We all deserve to be respected as basic human rights and needs are met. They fucking teach us that in pre-K, for God's sakes. Your parents are supposed to teach you that from birth. But that boundary, that internal pivot in where you no longer will tolerate what's done in order to be seen, in order to be paid, or just to be able to work, or in order to have that boyfriend, or in order to have that girlfriend or that wife, is where it's different for everyone. And so here we are. The ability to have an authentic conversation with you is so rewarding for me that even though you can Google me whenever you want, I'm going to take my power back and share with you my voice, my opinions, and my journey, not only to evolve me as an artist and an entertainer, as a creator, and to add yet another layer to Bridgette B. To make room, you have to shed. And That's where this journey is leading me. If something I said made you laugh, made you cry, made you block your ex, you're welcome. Make sure to subscribe, rate on iTunes, and follow at BridgetteUnfiltered on Instagram. And if you want your question featured on Dear Bridget, go ahead and slide into the DMs or, do a shout out, put it in the comments. We'll find it. Ladies, go light a candle, fix your lip gloss, and stop letting boys with zero vision distract you from your empire. And remember, King, if you got to check her following list, it's already over. Heal, hydrate, and stop falling in love off Instagram stories. All right, guys? See you next episode. Bye.